All right, this is an important 49ers update from Levi Stadium. And the reason I say that is because sometimes it's bigger than football. And today was the funeral for Charvarius Ward's 1-year-old daughter, Amani Joy, who passed away suddenly last week. And that funeral was out in Dallas, and the 49ers were able to send a contingent out there, including general manager John Lynch, their director of player engagement, Austin Moss, and their team chaplain, Pastor Earl Smith. This was posted on social media, and you could see a picture of the 49ers attendees and Charvarius Ward at the funeral in Dallas today. Credit to Brad Graham at the SF Niners, who does a great job curating a lot of these posts. Go ahead and give Brad a follow. He's a class act and obviously is always on top of everything. But the 49ers, this was also a really classy gesture from the organization and an unspeakably difficult time for Charvarius Ward. Lynch and many other members of the organization were there to help support Ward and his family. Ward has not been at practice, obviously, this week. He's not going to play for the 49ers on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they will do their best to pick up the slack for him. All right, this is the full practice report now. Ward, one of the players who's out. Chris Conley out with his hamstring injury. Kevin Givens out with his groin injury. Although good news on the Givens front, he was doing sprints off on the side during practice today. So it does appear that Kevin Givens is at least making progress in his return. No Yetur Gross Matos either. He had started practicing this week. The 49ers opened this practice window to return from injured reserve, but they'd always been pointing toward November 17th against the Seattle Seahawks as the potential return date, and that remains the case for Yetur Gross Matos. Nick Bosa is officially listed as questionable for the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan said that he suffered a hip pointer early during Wednesday's practice, and he's been, quote-unquote, extremely limited this week. So they're going to see how Nick Bosa feels by Sunday to see how much that Bosa can play against the Buccaneers. It's obviously a tantalizing matchup. Bosa against Tristan Wirfs, one of the top left tackles in the game. You've seen the big news already. I'll repeat it again, and we'll tack on the Christian McCaffrey interview after this. The 49ers do plan to activate Christian McCaffrey from injured reserve tomorrow. He's officially listed as questionable, but don't worry. That's only because NFL rules dictate that. If you're on an injury list and you're in a practice window, before you're activated, you do have to be formally listed as questionable. And that's where Christian McCaffrey is right now for the 49ers. Other potential call-ups for the 49ers on Sunday, Tashaun Gipson and John Feliciano. Feliciano is the offensive lineman who's been on injured reserve due to the knee surgery, but he's healthy. He's ready to go now. The 49ers opened his practice window alongside Christian McCaffrey earlier this week. It seems less likely than not that the 49ers activate him this week. It's no rush. They have a full 3 weeks to do that, but Shanahan said that San Francisco is considering it for Feliciano. They've also re-signed the safety, their starter from the past 2 seasons, Tashaun Gipson Sr., and they said that he had a good week of practice and that he is available and probably ready to step in and start for Malik Mustafa, the rookie who's dealing with a calf issue if Mustafa is unready to play on Sunday. Mustafa was back out at practice today. He even tweeted yesterday, told people to chill out, that it doesn't seem to be anything too serious. But if Mustafa is unable to play for the 49ers against the Bucs, perhaps Tashaun Gipson, now wearing number 43 instead of the old 31 that he had for the past 2 seasons with the 49ers, will be able to fill right in for San Francisco. The officially questionable players for this game are, again, McCaffrey, Mustafa, and Deebo Samuel, who had a non-contact jersey on earlier this week, but there doesn't seem to be any potential danger of Deebo Samuel not playing. So all things considered, the 49ers seem to have a relatively healthy football team entering this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are coming off the bye. This is one of the few times this season that the 49ers will have a net rest advantage against their opponent because Tampa Bay is coming off a short week and the 49ers are coming off of the, 13, 14 days of rest since they last played against the Dallas Cowboys. A couple pieces of intel from the 49ers locker room. I got to talk a little bit more to their new pickup, Khalil Davis, who they might need this Sunday. No Kevin Givens, as I mentioned, but it's going to be 87 degrees out in Tampa. It's most taxing for defensive linemen. You like to have a lot of healthy depth in that D-line room. And Davis, I think, is going to be part of that rotation. He did play for Tampa in the past in his career. That was one of his career stops. Kyle Shanahan, when I asked him, mentioned that Malik Collins, the former Texans defensive tackle who's now with the 49ers, actually vouched for Khalil Davis when San Francisco was interested in trading for Davis earlier this week. Collins and Davis played together on that Houston defensive line, and the 49ers now, in the course of this calendar year, have now traded for both of those defensive tackles. And if Khalil Davis delivers the same type of success that Malik Collins has delivered for the 49ers, San Francisco would be in seventh heaven. I mean, Malik Collins ranks number 5 in the entire NFL amongst all defensive tackles in ESPN's pass rush win rate. So he's been really, really solid for the 49ers, and I think that they believe that Khalil Davis has some potential. And it is about depth, first and foremost, and the 49ers should have some more of that with Khalil Davis. And then, of course, there is the case of Christian McCaffrey, who throughout all of this has kept an even keel behind the scenes. There's been so much noise in the media. Remember, there were people saying the 49ers were lying when they were saying that McCaffrey would return this year. There were others saying that he might retire. Well, all of that was obviously untrue. McCaffrey today said that the appreciation for the sport of football grew in his mind while he had to sit and wait for 8 games watching his teammates. There was a lot of sleep, a lot of rehab. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey took that trip to Germany. He didn't want to talk about it today, as is his prerogative. He was on injured reserve. He's going to seek treatment to try to make it back as quickly as possible, and he is now set to come back for the 49ers with, again, that newfound appreciation for actually being able to play. And he probably has got some fresh legs right now, given the fact that he doesn't have the 2 months of wear and tear on his body that he did at this point of last season. So McCaffrey spoke in the locker room. Those of you who missed the video earlier, I'm going to tack it on right now so you can listen to Christian speaking for the first time since all this injury drama really went down. And he's ready to come back for the 49ers against Tampa Bay on Sunday.
Take us through the Germany trip. Was it Dr. Beeling that you met with there?
I keep all that stuff private, you know. When you're on IR and you're hurt, you'll do anything to come back, you know. So I'm feeling good now. That's all that matters.
They said that rest was the most important component to it. Would you agree with that, or would you say that?
Wish it was that easy. Yeah, I wish it was that easy. You know, it's a combination of a lot of things that go into it. Our staff did an amazing job. Look, the last 8 weeks were extremely unfortunate for me. You know, it's very tough being injured. It's tough physically, mentally, emotionally. You know, especially when it's just not how you planned it. It wasn't expected. Some stuff just went wrong, but I'm feeling great now, ready to go.
How did you get through that time?
Just one day at a time. You know, you just gotta, you know, trust in God and just take it one day at a time. You know, I mean, it can be dark sometimes, you know, and especially something like that you feel like it's, you know, having to watch games. You're physically in pain. You know, try so hard to not let stuff like that happen. You know, a lot goes into this, you know. Pretty much, you know, I think about football every day of my life. It consumes about 98% of my life, and so when it doesn't go right, it can be very tough. But all I know is it makes you realize how blessed and fortunate you are to play when you are on that field. So I'm happy to be back.
Kyle said going on IR kind of took the pressure off him and the team in terms of, you know, all right, let's just give this some time. Was that the same for you?
I think, you know, I can say this, from John to Kyle to, you know, Jed and the whole training staff, the way that they treated everything and the way that they went about it was amazing. You know, sometimes you need people in your corner that can look after you when maybe they know what's best for you in times where maybe you try to suck it up or tough something out that might be risky. So the way that they handled it, and the training staff and the strength staff, really fortunate for them.
What was your mindset just getting back on the field Monday for practice?
Just a lot of gratitude. Sometimes you take it for granted that you play this game for a living, and it's what you do, it's what you train for. But when it's taken from you, even just for a little bit of time, it makes you really appreciate every single day you're on the grass.
Were you able to stay involved in the meeting room, and was it gratifying to see what Jordan and Isaac were able to do while you were out?
Yeah, I stayed as much as I could. I think when you're on IR, there's really no need to. I think, there is a need to, but, pretty much every hour of the day is devoted to getting healthy, not necessarily in the meeting. So it's a lot of treatment, a lot of prehab stuff, rehab training, etc., sleep, rest, you name it. But, it was amazing to see what those guys have done and will continue to do. We have such an amazing room. I put our room up against anybody's, and to see what those guys have done, I think it's no shock when you got a guy like Bobby Turner as your coach. There's a standard in that room, and those guys did a hell of a job, and they'll continue to do a hell of a job.
Christian, is there anything that you have to change about your pregame routine now because of these two injuries?
Yeah, I've changed a good amount. Yeah, I think a lot of people ask me, what do you do for training, and I'm done answering. I don't know. I'm figuring it out every day, but all I know is I got a good routine right now, and I feel good, and that's all that matters.
Coach, I know obviously no guarantees, but what level of confidence do you have that this is like in the rear view mirror, you're done with these Achilles issues?
Yeah, I feel good now. No, I wouldn't be out here if it was still bothering me. I feel great.
How do you feel about the positioning of this team right now, 4-4 with 9 games left in the regular season?
I feel great. I love where our attitude's at. You can feel the energy in practice in the meeting room, and hungry with our backs against the walls, right where we want to be.
So there you have it. That's the 49ers report here from Levi Stadium. Hit that like button, hit the sub button, and we will talk to you soon. I'm on a flight to Tampa Bay next.